It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week we're revealing the season 2 titles for Marvel's What If on the show.
What if we actually did that?
What if? What if? We are. And you can just stay tuned and we will get there. We're also making our predictions for the second half of Ahsoka because Mike has now seen 4 episodes, I believe.
Yes, I'm caught up.
You're caught up and you are back after we are back. The show had not started last time we recorded, so we're going to have some, again, the back half of the show is going to be very spoiler-filled. We'll talk about what that means in a little bit, including giving you a review of Am Groot's second outing. I hope Mike has watched this because I didn't ask him. And
I have not. So okay. Chris will be giving you the review.
That's fine.
And he is welcome to spoil anything.
There are no spoilers in Let me tell you how little spoilers are in Am Groot, Mike.
I'm going to guess he was cute and tenacious.
It's very much so. It's a show you could probably watch while I wax poetically about some topic in here, Mike. That's how short these shorts are. Yes, so Mike, welcome back. You missed last week. Thanks again to Jim, Superfan Jim, for stepping in to take your place.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Yes, yeah. So everyone's happy
Chris,
about that. But go on.
I would very much like you to ask me what it was like being gone.
What was it like being gone?
Well, it's like being in a dream where I've somehow been really invested in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League.
Jesus Christ.
If anybody picked up on that is a quote from, I think, the third act of Barbie, if I remember right, like right towards the end.
Oh, yeah.
And I have been waiting so long for Chris to go see the movie. So you went and saw it while I was where I was gone from the show, right?
I think I saw it the Monday after we last recorded together. But yes, I have seen it, and you did. The first thing when I heard it, I immediately messaged Mike. I'm like,
yeah, I was just like,
very relevant.
It was such an amazing. I mean, we talked. I talked a little bit about Barbie on the show. I haven't heard your thoughts on it at all, but I love the movie. It was great, and then that joke at like the very end was just just hilarious. And I was like, I can't wait for Chris to go see it because this is like so pointant.
It is, and from a Warner Brothers property even as well. It's just kind of like we like for I guess a movie that is so meta on so many different levels. That was even more meta, and I'm like, this is fun. This is very entertaining. But just to no spoilers about this, I had a good time with Barbie. I think it's not something I think I need to revisit or have an annual watching for, but it's definitely not the film when someone says we're making a Barbie movie, what you expect to get right at the end of the day. Yeah. So it's got a strong message. It's very, it is an emotional movie in a good way. And I really do not look forward to the number of Barbies and Kens coming to Halloween in a month and a half.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
you know how many tool bag Kens we're gonna see with the fur coat on in their Mojo Dojo Casa houses?
Yeah, hopefully people will get a little bit more creative with it. Like, I don't know, like bandage up their knees so they can't like bend them, or like, I don't know, do something like a little bit more meta with their costume since the movie is so meta.
And I would say this is probably, again, other than Toy Story, which is my favorite movie that features Barbie and Ken, right? Toy Story 3. A fairly good movie for the summer because, we have had a lot of material hit cinemas this year. Simply, I don't know if it's post-COVID catch-up or what, but like this is I think it's something that's stand out amongst a summer of just a lot of content at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a very unique film with such a very recognizable character, right? You never would have thought it would happen. Honestly, we all thought the Barbie movie was going to end up probably like that very first version that what's that comedian, she was supposed to be Barbie in one version of the film, but then like everything, Amy Schumer, she was originally attached that was going to be like a totally different Barbie movie. You could already tell. So I love the way that this one, landed. It was really funny. But now that I've been several weeks out from it and had a little bit of time to think about it, it's still a great movie. But I do wish they could have just done a little bit more with like the corporate Mattel side of things. Like it's kind of funny you mentioned, you know, they're like kind of roasting Warner Brothers and like the whole Zack Snyder thing, part of the studio that made the movie, but it seems like they were really not allowed to kind of dig at like the history of like Mattel. Like they never I feel like they never really resolved like what Will Ferrell's character like was or what really happened. They just kind of glossed over it. But luckily the rest of the movie was so strong, you kind of let it go.
And I feel if they focus on that too long, it might have taken away probably from the core messaging of the film, which, you know, is different than corporate, you know, I guess, not espionage, but corporate, you know, takeovers, or, you know, however we feel like, you know, companies are, you know, they sell things and they don't really care about us. I think, you know, if there is a sequel, that's probably what they would touch upon. I don't think it needs a sequel. And I really hope, and I think I said this last week when you weren't here, but that, and you've seen it, the comments from celebrities, like, you know, the message of this movie is not make more movies from toys. It's make good movies, right? That appeal to an audience. And that is the message, not make toy movies. That's not what sold this movie. It was the actual story throughout and the quality. So that's how I feel about it. I had a good time. I think it's supposed to hit digital this week, maybe next week. It's one of those movies that got, I think, delayed on digital because it was doing so well in theaters. It's like the biggest movie of the year. Maybe. It's
the only thing I think currently that's like saving Zaslav's job. Like if Warner Brothers did not have Barbie, like, I mean, the headlines are already bad for the studios, just like dragging this strike out even longer. It would be a catastrophic implosion for Warner Brothers if Barbie did not come out this year.
Exactly. Like I said, I think it made up for the Flash's underperformance. And we'll talk about another movie that might actually do better than all of these here in a little bit. But, you know, something that's fresh for me, fresh off, this is what I watched today, was I finally got to sit down and watch some One Piece episodes, Mike, from Netflix. And you've watched, I don't know how many you've watched. I've watched the first two. I don't know how many you've watched at this point.
I am part way through episode 4, if I remember correctly. So
and there's 8
I feel
total.
Yeah, I was recommending to you, Chris, to watch at least the first 2 because you finally get a look at least kind of like a villain or kind of what an antagonist pirate would look like kind of by the time you get to episode 2. So I felt like that was enough for at least for us to have like a conversation.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm just gonna go ahead and preface this, Mike, and you may agree. I know nothing about One Piece other than it is a Shonen Jump manga that runs, you know, started in the late 90s and is still going to this day. Even had a huge revelation, I think, a couple of weeks ago in their manga. Yeah. So I'm like, I know nothing about this. This is all fresh to me. And I'm not going to pretend I do, Mike.
It's like, well, also, too, it's like we're obviously nerds. Like, we're out there in the pop culture universe. We know of One Piece, right? You know, you've seen clips of it. You know, you've seen memes.
The art style is so unique and stands out, right? And they have characters with such defining features. I know when I'm looking at a One Piece character, even if it doesn't say One Piece on it. So. Yeah.
It's like I'm sure somebody who understands and is knowledgeable of the anime could speak to it better than us, but like for me the art style kind of feels like almost like Popeye meets anime, which I don't know if that's obvious or not obvious, or you're calling people are like shaking their pitchforks at me like, you're crazy, don't equate this to Popeye.
Well, Popeye was a sailor man. Now he wasn't trying to be king of the pirates, but he was a sailor man. And there are just, you know, this is kind of a world similar, I wouldn't say similar, kind of like, you know, I know Dragon Ball very much. When I see Dragon Ball art, I know Dragon Ball art. And there are humanoids in this. They are not all just normal people looking things, right? Like this, like an anime like Naruto, where they all looked like people with, you know, who are fighting. This is very much, oh, this guy's very bulky, and this guy has a sawtooth for a nose, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's very all over the place, and I've been like, I don't even care, Chris, whether you hate what you've watched or what you loved what you watched, and I'm not even 100% sure where I'm at on this show, but like, there's so much to talk about. Like, I don't even want to like gloss over it. Like, I don't even know if we should do like a spoiler cast. Like, maybe if we end up finishing it all, I feel like I am at a race against the clock, much like Cowboy Bebop when that came out. Is it going to get canceled before I get a chance to finish it? I don't know, but the internet seems to be a little bit more positive for this adaptation of One Piece compared to when Cowboy Bebop came out, and I have a lot of thoughts about that. But I think with about 4 episodes in, like, it's just there's just so like my eyes just have so much to look at. I don't really know how else to like describe it. There's just so much going on, man.
Yeah, I agree. So to me, there's a couple. I'm enjoying myself. I'm just gonna go ahead and get. I'm enjoying myself on watching this because I have no preconceived notions and I don't know what to compare it to. Right, like. I feel whoever has done this obviously has respect for the content, and the actors in the first 2 episodes at least are very, very strong in these roles. Like they know who they're playing and what they're playing. But I will tell you, the first episode obviously was a lot of the trailer we talked about, not very visually appealing, right? Very sandy, very like, you know, obviously this is a coastal town kind of thing. But when we get to the second episode, and this is not a spoiler because this character is very prominent in the manga. Is his name Buggy? I believe his name's Buggy, the clown guy. When you get the visual of the clown, like the visuals really open up and everything really happens. But I can't help but see Muppet Treasure Island, Mike, because Monkey D. Luffy, his power is he's stretchy, a lot like Mr. Fantastic. And I think there's some lessons to be learned here if you want to do a stretchy man in movies. But when they put Gonzo on the rack in Muppet Treasure Island to stretch him out, and he's just like, yeah, do it again. And then there's a scene in episode 2 where he's like, you can stretch me forever. I'm stretchy. That's what I am. I'm like, this is Gonzo. This is very much Gonzo. Like,
I love it. I love it, Chris, because like you're thinking about this the exact same way I'm thinking about this, of just like I'm watching something I've never quite seen before. So my brain is just desperately trying to like find like comps in my head of just like all of the people, like they'll dress fantastically or weird, or they'll just be so otherworldly. It feels like the Capitol from the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But then you have like Luffy, he's so positive and optimistic and is good at getting a crew together, and he's infectious and he can get anybody over onto his side. So he's like Ted Lasso, right? Yeah. Then obviously you throw Pirates of the Caribbean in to get some of that.
Kind of. I think mostly the music, because like everything else, I'm like, I get Pirates, but I'm like, this doesn't feel very Pirates of the Caribbean. Like it's just not quite there yet. But I love the music's there. Like that theme song from Pirates 1 is just I hear it all the time when I'm watching this.
Yeah, and then you got to throw like a little bit of like Wizarding World in there of like I can't point to anything specific in there, but like you have things like snails that act as telephones, and it's like so bizarre and no explanation goes into it. So it's like I want to kind of say that's like magic, but like not explicitly, right? And I wouldn't
kind of because like that one guy has a metal jaw bolted onto his face, and you're like. You're like, yeah, I've seen this in anime, but goddamn, they put it in real life.
Yeah, and that's like good. That's a good point for like production design too, because like it ebbs and flows, right? Like sometimes I feel like I'm seeing like a cool visual adaptation of a character that I can tell was designed as a cartoon, and then sometimes I'm just like, oh, that looks like a costume from Party City. So, but like it's just I don't know. There's so much going on, and I'm just having a good time. I just like. And, like, I constantly keep trying to compare it to the attempt that was made with Cowboy Bebop. And I feel like, and last we talked about the Cowboy Bebop, the live action, I liked it, right? But I never finished it because they canceled it, so why invest myself into it, right? But I feel like the challenge there was, like, you could just watch Cowboy Bebop, right? It's just its own standalone thing. You could binge it in a day or a weekend, and it's an amazing standalone dramatic piece of storytelling, right? One Piece is so long and sprawling, and like you said, it's kind of comparable to like a Dragon Ball Z in a way, where I'm sure there's like filler episodes and arcs, and they stretch that like 22-minute runtime by like adding in like flashbacks and things you've already seen.
I looked up the character with the red hair, the guy who inspired Luffy. What's his name? Shank.
It's like his
Shank, isn't it? Yeah. So in the actual thing, he didn't appear until the 4th episode. And he's like in the first 5 minutes of this. So I'm like, they are really hurrying up some of that stuff. from the manga and anime, and that's great because we don't need to go through that. I understand what it did for the show at the time, but like they're like distilling this down to like, hey, this might be your, I wouldn't say villain of the week, but this is your journey of the episode kind of thing.
Yeah, and it just feels like an adaptation was just almost more necessary for a One Piece than a Cowboy Bebop, because it's like, listen, there's like 1,000 episodes. I don't even think I'm being facetious, right? Is there like literally 1,000 episodes?
Oh, there's over 1,000 episodes because it's been going since '99. Yeah,
it's like I'm never sitting down and watching all that. Like I'm a man approaching his 40s, right? It's just never gonna happen.
1,075 episodes as of September 10th, and I will tell you, as someone who watches the Pokemon episodes, there are 1,255 episodes of Pokemon currently with Ash and Pikachu. I have seen, probably actually watched and paid attention to maybe 5% of these, but I've in the background seen probably over half of them. But does any of those matter at the end of the day? No.
Yeah,
like you distill it down to a Pokemon movie, you don't need everything in there.
Yeah. So now, like, I'm very, very shocked to say that we would be on the show talking about One Piece. We both like it. We both want to watch more of it. I would welcome more seasons of it.
Yeah.
I mean, best case scenario, like the best Netflix has ever done is what, like 8 seasons of a TV show. So like, I don't know if there's a world where the live action One Piece encompasses the entire narrative that's been told. I don't know what the plan is, but like, it's fun. I want more of it. I hope it's doing well.
Yeah. Again, without having any preconceived notions other than I've seen, I think the difference between just One Piece and Cowboy Bebop, since One Piece has covered so long, and Cowboy Bebop was one season, right, in like the 90s. I think that's why you put your thumb on this. Like, this has been going forever and it's still going. It has something going for it, and seeing merchandise and stuff in stores and articles. Whenever we've been doing this show for almost 10 years. There's always been One Piece articles the entire time we've been doing this show, and it's just got something about it that's going to keep going, and that's great. And I think Netflix has done a good job on their hands. Now, I will say, a lot of these scenes where they have like something on it, feels like it's not a volume, but it's a sound stage, right? It's a very much a circular area or a very box area. But that's fine because, it kind of fits the story, right? They're bouncing from island to island. They don't have a huge space to really play in some of the time. So
yeah, they're doing pretty well, I would say, with what they're trying to adapt. I mean, like One Piece, I've seen clips of it. I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes. Like it is a cartoon. 100% through and through, right? You got like literally a squash and stretch character. You got goofy animal hybrids and fantastical locations.
People who can dismember themselves and stuff like that. I will say the clown actor, he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He played the guy Zeke from the future when they went to the future and brought him back.
Yeah, I thought he looked familiar.
He did a great job with that role. That was a creepy clown kind of thing. And what is with Japan and those that clown specific look? Because if you watch Dragon Ball Super, one of the gods of destructions has that exact same look as well. They love that. So
the Japanese people are probably like, what's with America and the one way they depict like ninjas or samurai or whatever
as turtles. We don't even have turtles here. So I would say my wife. She was working on something behind me, and she listened to a lot of it, and she's like, that sounds creepy over there sometimes. I'm like, it is a little creepy, but it is a fun journey, and I love it, and I love watching it because I have no, I guess, connections to this, Mike, right? And I feel like that adds a lot to my enjoyment of this. So
they could be absolutely skewering the story, and I have no idea.
As long as it's fun.
And I'll never know. But surprised to be talking positively about One Piece with you today, Chris.
Yes, absolutely, and I hope to watch more. I plan on catching this, and hopefully maybe next week, maybe 2 weeks, Mike, getting it all done, and we can talk about it. But just in time for us to have a spoiler cast for the upcoming Taylor Swift The Eras tour hitting theaters in 2023 in October. My wife bought tickets to this. Didn't even ask me, just went ahead and bought the tickets.
I'm not surprised.
Yes, she originally it was only at AMC, but it's not only at AMC theaters anymore. This was originally an AMC exclusive, but you can buy, I think, tickets anywhere now in most theaters. which is depressing because she bought them at AMC. I'm like, that's not even close. I'd rather go to the theater across the street. But this is reportedly will be literally every superhero movie opening in 2023 with a $150 million opening weekend. And that doesn't include probably the theater merch sales for the T-shirts and popcorn buckets they're going to be selling and everything else.
Yeah.
I've never seen a music concert tour get so popular and hit the theaters, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. I'm like, this is a phenomenon that only I believe Taylor Swift could encompass. But the story behind it's even funnier. I don't know if you know this. Like they went to AMC first, like the regular people, like, hey, we want to do this, and this is what we're gonna do, and we want a bigger cut than a normal movie, right? Because it's not a normal film. We did all the work and all this other stuff, and they were like, haha, no. So Taylor Swift went around and went to the president of AMC directly, and he was like, yeah, absolutely, we will take whatever content we can get at this time, and cut like a really good deal for the production company.
Honestly, it's just amazing as like technology and distribution just gets so much more streamlined. Yeah, people do have the option of just like, oh yeah, we don't need like a middleman to like print film reels and manage relationships between studios. When you're Taylor Swift, you could knock on any door.
She could on any company, any theater company in the world, and be like, I want to sell it to you exclusively, and they would be like,
And you would know better from your household because your wife has gone to several of the Eras Tours concerts. They're like 3 hours long, right? It's like a whole production. So like that's already more adaptable to the big screen than maybe some other bands' concerts, right? And it's gonna be fucking wild. I would not want to be somebody who's going to see like a very dramatic like A24 movie that's sharing a wall with the Eras Tour concert because you're gonna be able to freaking hear it through that wall.
I 100% guarantee there's going to be other movies run out or shut down because they need to open up more screenings for that opening week. I'm also kind of surprised they don't have like a sing-along version of the show. Like, you know,
I don't know if they're going to like put like lyrics on the screen, but like I believe in all of the marketing materials they are encouraging people to like bring your little custom made bracelets, dress up. Everyone's going to be like
concert without
singing.
Going to the concert.
This is going to be the like no movie theater etiquette is going to be in that auditorium. It'll just be a madhouse.
And you kind of don't need it for a show like this either, right? Like you're not listening to people whisper and tell secrets before the things blow up. Like you're literally just watching a show, and that's great. And I think opportunities for bands to record their shows and sell them, not necessarily to theaters, but also online streaming service. I would buy some, right? I would literally not, if I can't go to a concert anywhere because I'm in the Midwest and they don't like to come here, I would pay for streaming to watch shows, pre-recorded shows of concerts as well. So. I think this is great and good job for any Taylor Swift fan who didn't get to go and gets to go watch this in theaters. So
you get to save a lot of money. That's a bargain.
You do get it. Yeah, you do get to. Lucky you guys. We're gonna switch gears back into comic news and talk about New York Comic Con. So I did see a lot of news articles this week that New York Comic Con is coming on October 12th. Panels are starting to get scheduled for this. Obviously the writer's strike and the actor's strike are still going on. That has been that really, I would say, hampered San Diego Comic-Con. But, I saw, again, an example, Dragon Ball has a panel coming there. They're going to announce something new. I bet it's a video game related thing. Marvel had some stuff. They may do just some straight announcements on the releases rather than actual, like, having actors out there, right? Like, hey, you missed last week, but a bunch of Marvel stuff got shifted around, Mike, right? Like all the streaming stuff got shifted. So do they come out and, talk about, some of that plans? I don't know. Maybe they show off some animation from What If or X-Men 97. I don't know. But I'm excited that is coming in 1 month from now, but I really don't know what we're going to get out of it this year.
Yeah. The Actors Guild has an interim agreement with AMC, the studio, not the movie theater. So there's a big chance that like Walking Dead could be a gigantic presence at New York Comic Con because one of the few like mega nerd properties that could be out there and not be scabbing, right? They could get all of the actors out there. I watched one of my beloved recap videos on YouTube last week of like all of the Walking Dead, and then I fell down like a Walking Dead like analyzing like rabbit hole of what happened to the show over time. So like my brain is like Walking Dead like primed. I'm like I feel like I'm all caught up.
You got a new show
that
just came out today. So the Daryl show came out today, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Apparently they did some sort of like kind of teenage based show that only lasted one season, but at the end of it there was like a hint that the virus like originated or started in like Paris or something like that.
Yeah.
So like Daryl's show is supposed to be taking him
He goes to Paris. Yep.
Now, I'm assuming to like I don't know find the origins of the virus. So.
I've read the reviews of the first season, which is great because what I don't like about, and I've always had this complaint about Walking Dead season 2 when they go to the farm and you just see a fucking farmhouse for 10 episodes on like the biggest show ever. They're like, oh, you actually get to go to different countries and see things like differently, like different vistas because they filmed it in Europe as well. So I'm excited to possibly see more of that. But yeah, it's out, Mike. So for Walking Dead, you're welcome aboard. I was gonna say it makes me think Game of Thrones, right? Because they're not SAG-AFTRA. It's not a SAG-AFTRA production, right? That's a England.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how things are working over in the UK.
They're still they're still filming it currently. House of the Dragon season 2. So I'd be interested to see if they come over and do something.
Oh, maybe. Or maybe if they was it the Prime Meridian or whatever, if they cross into North America where the U.S. guilds remain supreme, they'll be like, I hope you don't want to leverage this House of Dragons fame with anything that happens in Hollywood because what you're doing is not cool. So I guess we'll see what happens. I don't know all the details, so I don't want to.
Yeah, it's different countries and different things, so it's definitely interesting. But I know they're filming, so that'd be something. But like. Again, like I said, I just don't expect to get a lot of it, but we'll bring whatever we can to the show next month. So probably for that. What if season 2? Now we originally planned this to be a couple of years out, Mike. Remember when we last talked? They were like, we're going to delay this because we don't need it. Well, apparently they need it now more than ever, Mike, because it's done. And the animation, I guess could finish up the episodes early, right, for this. So Marvel pulled this to December 24th of this year, which was previously kind of unslated. And what if season 2 titles have been revealed, including, I'm just going to go through them real fast. Stop me if you want, Mike, okay?
Just rattle them all off.
Yeah. What if Gamora killed Thanos? What if Captain Carter finds Hydra Stomper, continued from season 1? What if the Tesseract landed in the, I'm going to butcher this, Haudenosaunee Confederacy before the colonization of America, so Native American thing. What if Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne fought the Red Guardian during the 80s? What if Yondu delivered Star-Lord to Ego? What if Happy Hogan saved Christmas from Iron Man 3? What if Wanda had grown up watching musicals and sitcoms? What if Odin Hela faced Winmu? And what if Avengers had fought Surtur? So the only one I can think of, these are 9 episodes. Last season was a 7, right, I believe? And I think Gamora killed Thanos is the one that's carried over from before because she is the warrior.
Are we led to believe that this is possibly episode order as well, or
I have seen it in different order. I've seen I've seen all over the place. What if Happy Hogan saved Christmas? I've seen is the last one on something, but I don't know about the order at all.
Yeah, I mean, you said this is going to be airing on the 24th of December.
Yeah, this is a
so
Christmas release.
I would think they would want that Happy Hogan one to come out sooner.
They
rather than later.
I believe this is a binge release. This is not a weekly release.
Okay, so then the order maybe doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, Avengers fighting Surtur, that sounds badass. That sounds really, really cool. Since it was stated in Ragnarok that basically there's no way to beat Surtur. We just got to let him win and get the hell out of there.
Yeah, you take his helmet kind of thing, I think was it, the mask?
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because nobody's really brought that back up, right? Is like Surtur still just like rummaging through Asgard like right now, but he's isolated there, can't escape. I mean, I'm looking forward to who wouldn't look forward to a Christmas one, right?
Yeah.
At least you could something repetitive you could watch every year.
And this one, I did notice there's no culmination of these, right? That I can tell right here. Like there's no Ultron, breaks the multiverse. So it seems like these are going to be less building towards something, unless one of these happens to be that, which I would say, I I don't know, is the Happy Hogan one the sleeper where they all have to come together and save the multiverse, and Happy Hogan's the multiverse dude in this one? I don't know. I seen the Wanda one as being the last one as well. What if Wanda had grown up watching musicals instead of sitcoms? Maybe she does something reality based. So I expect a musical episode. That'll be fun.
Yeah, to be honest, I had to Google who Wenwu was.
Oh, from
I forgot
Shang-Chi's dad, Ten Rings.
Yeah, Shang-Chi's dad. That kind of sounds really cool because that's one thing I've wanted more information on is like, what is this kind of mythical realm, right, where the whole movie ends up taking place, at the end, and Odin and Hela very anchored to their own mythical realm, so maybe there'll be some discussion back and forth there of kind of like where all of this like lives, because it's like Asgard is in space, but it's like it's not in space, like so what the hell's going on there?
What's cool about that one is a very much it could be a historical piece, right? Because Wenwu had extended life with his 10 rings, like right, he'd been around for decades and generations, and and Hela was before Thor even, so it could be very. I agree that one's very interesting. The what if Yondu delivered Star-Lord the ego, so Star-Lord getting the ego powers, right, growing up as a half celestial kid could be interesting in that regard. These seem a lot more like I want to watch them than the first round. I don't know about you, but this seems very more. I'm like, these are things I never thought of. Where the first one seemed to be like, yeah, we just changed one or two things.
Yeah, like what if A happened instead of B?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and obviously the takeout, or the one that took off the most is obviously Captain Carter. And then we have a sequel to that one here. Captain Carter finds the Hydra Stomper. So it looks like they'll be, I don't know if they'll be fighting each other or, is this, Winter Soldier with Captain Carter kind of deal. So a lot of these action figures, I think I said last week, are already hitting stores. So hopefully, we won't get any spoilers for anything here, but I'd be excited. I'm excited to watch these. And like I mentioned earlier, what I'm enjoying about this, Mike, is I don't care about any of these what ifs. They're not gonna carry over. There's no weight behind them, so hopefully we can just watch them and have a good time rather than worry about what's it gonna do to the MCU at large, because it won't. But I've got something about what if we'll talk about later in the episode, though, so put a pin in that. Now, what we're both excited for, I think, Mike, is Loki, the next MCU show from Marvel on Disney Plus, and that's coming out in October. And we got a season 2 teaser this week, a little short teaser, if you will. And what I've heard from this since this debuted is that we will have at least Kang variants in at least half of the episodes as well, Mike.
Nice. So it sounds like that's really going to be a main plot point of the show. It's not just going to be like, that one kind of teaser that we saw where they're kind of going to like the old timey like World's Fair presentation. So I like that. This will be a big deal to see like where Jonathan Majors sits within the MCU as well. That could be interesting. Maybe they'll slowly morph his face at every episode to where he's a different actor by the end. I don't know. But man, the trailer, if anything stands out to me out of Loki, more than anything compared to any other MCU property, it's production design. It just looks so cool. It's like, it's exactly what you want with like I don't know if you'd necessarily call like Marvel stories like science fiction, even though it kind of seems like maybe the most accurate description, but just to go to like an interesting, unique world, and just like even the office spaces like look fun. So it's great. I just love looking at it.
It also feels. I would say it also feels like the show that has had the least amount of behind the scenes drama, if you will. But like season 1 and season like everyone seems very down with this show. Like whatever you want to do, just have fun with it, kind of thing. And while the drama is obviously the actor, you just said his name, I forgot about it.
Jonathan Majors.
Yeah. Guy play King. I don't think they're gonna do anything with Loki. I think it's gonna stay the way it is. But it seems like everyone's having fun. It's gonna be great, right? Even though it's got the worst McDonald's crossover and known to man, I agree with you that it just looks good. It looks fun. Like everybody is in on this show, right? And we're not gonna get a lot of reshot scenes like Secret Invasion revealed to have reshot most of the show by the end of it. But overall, I also enjoy the like you mentioned the late 1800s, early 1900s aesthetic for some of the episodes. It looks like it'll be there. So keep you guys posted. That comes out next month. Do you read about the news that Agatha Darkhold Diaries is possibly the new name for the show? We talked about the chair a couple months ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I remember that title.
Well, apparently there may be a reason for the show's continuous title changes, as a producer says something is afoot on a post that had all 3 titles together. This may indicate a different title per episode, possibly, or is it one of those things like, the whole show may not be the Darkhold Diaries. Like I said, they could call it something else.
Yeah. Because we talked about, that like when we saw that Darkhold Diaries like set chair, it looked kind of like, it was like the Princess Diaries or something like that.
Yep.
So maybe each episode will be influenced where WandaVision was influenced by like classic TV show genres over the years. Maybe this one's going to be, like TV movie inspired, right? Yeah. Does that mean like every time that happens in one of these Marvel shows, does the character have to have some sort of like emotional damage circling around what they watched as a kid?
Yeah.
Like obviously Agatha was like a witch during like the witch trials, but like eventually she was alive when movies were invented, right? Maybe she just really liked movies when they were invented.
It could be maybe a remnant of whatever Wanda did to her, right? Wanda influenced the whole town as movies in different decades. Whatever she did to Agatha, we don't know yet. Maybe it's a remnant of that, like had a side effect that she's going through different things. But
maybe
there's it seems to be acknowledged that this is on purpose, and it's not something that they're just changing their mind as they're working on the show, if that makes sense. Which kind of how, from the outside, that's how I perceive it to be. They just keep changing it, but like the producer's like, yeah, something's going on here. They might be like, oh, okay, this is on purpose, and it might be just like low key marketing effort throughout. So. Of this is probably the best title of the 3, I think. If I could pick a title to stick with, Mike. I don't know. Do you have a preference?
I mean, what were I don't remember the other 2.
Agatha House of Harkness was the first one when it was unveiled. And then Agatha Coven of Chaos was the second one.
Oh, yeah. They all kind of sound like spooky. Well, so it's kind of hard for me to remember.
They're also all alliteration. So, like, I don't know. Like, is it going to be a different alliteration per episode kind of deal? Either way, it's fun. If they do it, that's fun. I think that's great. We have an Agatha show. We're diving back into Westview. A lot of the same actors from WandaVision will be there, and we'll check that as more information comes out, which probably won't be for a little bit at this rate. So that's cool. Daredevil Born Again. This is news I dropped in here today. Spider-Man will apparently be mentioned during the show by Kingpin. However, he will not appear in the show. No surprise. I don't think they would be able to get Tom Holland for a show.
I mean, I think that's very routine for the wall crawler, right? Yeah. He's always like on a newspaper somewhere in the background, or somewhere.
Well, I think it would be important for a ground level people if the rumors are true that Kingpin will be running for mayor. Obviously, Spider-Man we left him in New York, right, at Christmas time. So, like, I think it'd be pertinent to have, like, yes, we're going to reference the vigilantes in the city, including Daredevil, including the Spider-Person, Spider-Man, so on and so forth.
They got a hard thing for me to explain. Why is Kingpin strong? Mm-hmm. Like, I need an explanation. You can't just like wave your magical Marvel hands and like Kingpin can just like fight Spider-Man. That's like obviously not true. A normal human being, even under the best situation, cannot fight like a mutated person from like from a spider, like, and gets all these powers, right? Especially when he has his suit. So like I could suspend a little bit of disbelief that maybe a really strong dude, right, could fight Daredevil, because Daredevil has no like superhuman powers except for like perception, right? So, but like eventually, if the Kingpin's gonna fight anybody strong, like what's it gonna be? Like, did he use some like backdoor channels to get some like black market superhero serum or something like that? There's got to be an explanation.
If they need, I don't think he'll ever fight. I don't think Wilson Fisk will ever fight Spider-Man in this universe. But I understand what you're saying. Hopefully they. I don't know. I'm just hoping the 18 episode show is good, right? It's That's a bold move. Still, after all this time, I'm like, just make a good show. I don't care what you do with it. At the end of the day. We are in rumor territory. You know why we're in rumor territory, Mike, this week? Because there is no news, because no productions are happening. And for good reason. The strikes are happening, and they need to go ahead, and the studios need to pay the writers and actors what they're owed, and just get over themselves. But with no news comes rumors like nobody's business. So the validity of these are going to be very rough, but I just want to go ahead and call them out because we don't have a lot of news, really, at the end of the day. So the first rumor is the TVA for Deadpool 3, the TVA is selecting heroes from dying worlds as a way to stop the multiverse from collapsing on itself, which would explain why Deadpool and Wolverine meet, as Wolverine was chosen from his Fox universe to be the person to fight for them.
I mean, I like the concept, right? Because we do kind of need some sort of like power at B to kind of like maybe possibly set up, a Secret Wars type of, group. It's a lot of effort, to get a lot of RSVPs in, to get a contact list going. And so I feel like the TVA could do that. The only thing that like I'm trying to figure out, right, is like, why would they need to get a group of heroes together? Like, to me, the multiverse collapsing kind of seems like a natural disaster. Like, I don't care how many Wolverines you get, no amount of Wolverine slashing is going to stop a hurricane, right? Yeah. So are they trying to get them together to fight Kang, or, what's going on here?
it wouldn't be Kang. So in the comic books of the pre-Secret Wars comic books, the incursions, you would get two worlds that appeared in the same space. You would see the other world, and what would happen is usually by this point the worlds know they're going to have these incursions. So one hero group would be sent from one planet to the other to try to blow up the other planet, if you will, while also fighting off their heroes. Because if the one planet blows up, the other one would remain. They don't crash into each other and destroy themselves.
I see what you're saying.
So it could be that. It could also be, like you mentioned, maybe this was interpreted wrong, and that the TVA is selecting heroes from dying worlds to hold on to when they inevitably have only one world left, and we need to put heroes there, right? Maybe possibly could be a Kang, but if it's a TVA who is run by Kang, as we saw in those previews, right, the Kang statues, it might not be Kang. They're fighting at the end of the day, but or maybe it's Kang. Maybe it's Kang building his own quote unquote heroes to fight somebody else, because in the original Secret Wars, the battle world was heroes versus villains, the Collector versus the Beyonder. So there's ideas. The other rumor is that Daniel Radcliffe is cast in a secret role in the film, most likely a Wolverine variant amid fan casting of him taking over the mantle in the MCU.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that percolate in my Instagram Explore feed. There's like a promotional shot of Radcliffe from the final season of Miracle Workers, where he's in like tighty whities, and he's like basically doing like the Wolverine like
where he's ripping off
pose, and he's like super ripped, and he's pretty comic book accurate, right, when it comes to just like kind of like tiny little hairy dude, right? But I was chatting with my wife about it, since she's a huge Harry Potter fan. She would obviously love Daniel Radcliffe to be in all of these Marvel movies that I drag her to, right? But I'm curious how general audiences would deal with a comic book accurate Wolverine on screen, right? Because Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, has been around for so long. Like he's done more teaching the world what Wolverine is supposed to look like than a comic book. So what is the general audience going to think of when they go to a movie and they see like a tiny little dude on screen playing Wolverine? Yeah, there'll be some nerds in the audience going like, yeah, finally, and then everyone else is going to go like, what the hell is going on here?
I don't think Wolverine's visuals are going to what people get. I think it's going to be his personality. How do you get that rough and gruff personality? And when when most people look at Daniel Radcliffe, they're going to think, oh, he's the Harry Potter kid, right? I think that's the hurdle you're going to have to jump if he's the actor for that.
It's so funny because I've been watching Daniel Radcliffe in so many other things now. Like his first 3 seasons of Miracle Workers. We're very much looking forward to the 4th season once it drops on Max at some point in time. We caught him in the Weird Al Yankovic story on Roku, which is hilarious. So now, in my mind, he has 100% shifted to one of the most hilarious actors that I've ever watched. So, like, I almost think that's going to be the problem, at least for me personally, is like, you can't be funny as Wolverine. You got to be the straight man that everybody goofs on. So maybe
he could be a little funny. He just can't be overly funny. He's gonna be mean.
Yeah.
He's gonna be mean, and I'm not really seeing him be mean in a lot of things. What was that movie where he had the guns tied to his hands? Oh
yeah. Well, don't forget. I mean, like, what Harry Potter movie was with him and Ron were on the rocks. They weren't friends anymore.
Oh,
they were saying some hurtful things. So maybe you'll have to channel that.
I think this is one of those situations that we always talk about where if the fans have cast him as this role for too long, he's not going to be in that role when it comes around. Kind of like how John Krasinski was. Obviously, they got him for Mr. Fantastic for a small bit in Doctor Strange, but he's not going to be Mr. Fantastic in the upcoming movie, right? Kind of thing. Not going forward. So they could have him literally be in here for a minute, but I don't think he's going to take over the role going forward. He wouldn't lock himself to another franchise, I feel, after that. He's got Harry Potter money coming in, man. He's got all that good stuff. But this obviously all leads into Secret Wars, which Sam Raimi is apparently the Marvel's top choice to direct this movie currently, out of a list of actors. Mind you, he did Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and the Spider-Man trilogy. Anyone who listens to the show should know this. But Doctor Strange 2 brought in like $950 million on just a Doctor Strange solo movie. So that's not too bad, really, at the end of the day, if you look at numbers.
I mean, he's got a very distinct visual flair, which I love seeing. But weirdly enough, when I think of these big event movies, I don't really think of like visual distinctiveness, right? It's almost kind of like once you kind of get to these big bombastic kind of conclusions, it's almost like the story and special effects are more important than anything else, which is weird because Endgame was so emotional, right?
Well, but I would say Multiverse of Madness has a lot of special effects in it. I think if anything that proved he can handle different universes pretty well, right? But I think when you have movies this and King Dynasty, I honestly think get two directors again. They don't have to be the Russo brothers, but maybe you have whoever worked on the first one, two people on the first one, one of those people, or maybe it's both Sam Raimi and the other dude, who is it, Daniel Cretton, work together on these movies so they feel like one big movie rather than two separate movies.
My selfish pick would be the Daniels, who just came off of Everything Everywhere All at Once. But like that's like selfish. I don't think they need to do that. I would love to just see them continue their career, just kind of making like crazy, wacky movies that I can just go to the movie theater and just go like, what the hell am I watching? Yeah. I almost don't want to see them saddled with like a big budget like spectacle unless they want to do it. Right. But yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah. I think you need a duo because I think it levels everything out, right? Like it makes everything feel better. So we'll see. The other rumor that came up today was Alfonso Cuarón, who did Harry Potter 3 and The Prisoner of Azkaban, and Gravity is also near the top of the list as well.
Oh, okay.
He's got a very, very unique visual, very unique movie making style, very artsy, really, right? I think he's known very much for his long tracking shots on the ground, like very almost unsettling, if you will. So either one of these choices, I think, would be fine. They know how to handle studios and lots of money in this. Spider-Man 2, the video game, Mike. There we had some reveals this week of characters from the game, including 19 inches of Venom, according to the tweet that really came out earlier. And they were talking about the statue. They were like, get ready for 19 inches of Venom. And like the internet just lit them up for that. So have some fun. So we get Venom here with his very nasty looking teeth, which is awesome. I love this looking Venom, right?
This is accurate to a T.
Yes, I love it. And it's in the rain too, so he's even more shiny in that one. We got a black suit Spider-Man. So whenever obviously the symbiote is in Spider-Man, I want to see this in action in the game. In stills, it doesn't quite look right because it needs that moving motion on it. But Insomniac does such a great job with the suits, right, for photo mode in this. Kraven the Hunter, who we saw from the trailer, so we get to see him a little bit. Looks like Kraven the Hunter, really, at the end of the day. A lot of fur on him. We didn't have a lot of fur in the last game. And then lastly, probably the biggest, I say translation is the lizard here. And I say this because, have you played the Arkham games before, Mike?
No.
He looks just like Killer Croc in the Arkham games, more than the lizard. Right? Because we have Kurt Connors as a lizard, and he looks just like a Killer Croc, like a crocodile that you would see in New York's sewers.
We did see the lizard featured pretty prominently in that big first gameplay reveal trailer. It's huge, beastly, imposing. This is just one of those things where it's just like, shut up and take my money already. Like, obviously you need to market the game, but like, just come on. We're getting really close though.
Yes.
We're like just a little over 6 weeks away, I think.
Yeah.
My wife is going to be out of town on the weekend that this game comes out, so I'm like, I'm about to revert back to my 14-year-old self. I'm gonna get all the Mountain Dews.
Lucky,
all the jalapeno chips.
It's Voodoo 2023, Mike. So you're gonna be able to have all that the week before Halloween.
I'm going to feel like shit by the time we record on that Sunday because I'm just going to be up all night playing it.
It's going to be hard. This is my wife's birthday weekend and when I have to watch Taylor Swift. So we'll see how it goes for me at this rate. But I did buy this game before that movie was announced, so I know I'll get some time to play. And I don't know. I think I showed you my controller came in, right? The Spider-Man 2 controller. So very excited to dive into that on the PS5. The one bit of DC news we have this week, Mike, is the Crisis on Infinite Earths, the animated adaptation, as apparently is looking to be split into a trilogy, as the animation director updated his resume to have parts 1, 2, and 3 listed for this movie. So
that's funny. Nobody told him to like, don't upload that PDF, man.
Yeah,
you're spoiling everything.
Right. He's probably like one of these guilds I'm in is probably on strike anyway, so I'm just gonna update it just in case. But that's great. I'd love to watch I was always worried that they would try to condense it down to a 90-minute movie. So 2 parts is good, 3 parts is even better. So we'll see how this plays out as we get closer to that. The other trailer we have in our show notes for people to watch this week is Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, the TV series set in the Godzilla v Kong universe on Apple TV. You just watched this right before the show for the first time, Mike, and it doesn't shy away from giving us Godzilla and King Kong in this at all.
What words came out of my mouth, Chris?
This looks expensive. This looks expensive.
And only Apple TV could foot the bill for the VFX on this one.
Yeah, exactly. And I was worried, when you get a spin-off show that's not owned by the company who owns the rights. This is one of these situations where it's going to get real weird because it's a Warner Brothers property. Apple TV has this. I forget who has the Kong movie. I believe it's going to Disney Plus.
Isn't it? I thought these were Legendary movies, if I remember correctly. Maybe
Godzilla v Kong came out on Max. It was Warner Brothers. Remember, it's they released on Max day and date.
Yeah.
So Legendary may own the property, may own the production, but Warner Brothers is a distribution partner. Then, I did not realize John Goodman returns in this as his character from Kong Skull Island, which was a great surprise.
I forgot he was in that movie until they showed him briefly in the clip, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I did see him in Kong.
Yeah, he is that. The Kong Skull Island is a great movie. It's got Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, John Goodman. Oh my gosh, John C. Reilly. Yep. So it's fun. And the other cool thing about this show is going to tell the story in 2 parts: one historical and one in modern time, and it takes place across 2 time periods, played by son and father duo Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell, which is cool because they kind of look the same, and that's a really fun little effect there.
Not familiar with Wyatt Russell, he was a U.S. agent in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Also in a great show that was canceled before its time called Lodge 49, which the wife and I really love. So Wyatt Russell is a great actor. Kurt Russell, obviously everybody knows him. This is cool. I feel like this doesn't happen that often. Yeah. I'd love to hear more examples where like kind of father and son or daughter and mother have been able to kind of play the same character in future and past. So that's really cool.
Yeah, exactly, and that's cool. And then also, Kurt Russell has like 2 kids. I think they're the 2. They didn't really give them names in the trailer, but they're like the ones who are like in modern day, like looking at Godzilla from the school bus kind of thing. So, very very excited to watch this. Honestly, if I'm going to be honest, there's not a lot of Apple TV shows I watch, but I'm like, if this is carrying on this universe in a new way, I'm gonna dive in and see what other monsters they bring to the table here, because it looks like this Monarch, I guess, company or like industry or whatever it is going to have a big role in this, and then next year, or maybe is it the year after? It was delayed, I think, till late last year. Next year is that new Godzilla v Kong, the versus the other ape or whatever.
Isn't it? I think it's technically Godzilla X Kong.
Yeah, and then
which it's like it's a streetwear collaboration or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they already fought a little bit. Now they're buddies, so they got to fight somebody else. So that's been pushed back to sometime next year, and then like I said, there's another King Kong movie in production as well. So yeah, that's a great time. And then also, not related to this, but Godzilla -1, the movie from the Japan movie from the people who did the Godzilla Rebirth recently, or is
Shin
coming
Godzilla?
out. Shin Godzilla, yeah, Shin Godzilla. This did Shin Gamera, but it's called Gamera Rebirth in America, so that's my fault. But yeah, they're doing another Godzilla. So if you're a Godzilla fan, this is like your year right now. Like you're living large. And if you're a James Bond fan, this rumor might make you excited that Christopher Nolan is rumored to be making a deal to both write and direct 2 Bond movies with the Broccoli Company. And he's arguing, or not arguing, maybe dealing to get full creative control for this because Barbara Broccoli and her other producing partner, somebody I forget his name, have always like oversaw and like had their hands in these movies, right? That's part of the Broccoli,
My God,
family.
Just do. I watched this. There's this amazing YouTube creator that I love, Patrick Willems, who knows way more about movies than I ever will in my entire life. He's a great creator. He did like this whole video essay on Nolan and kind of the thought processes and the story of Tenet. And we talked at length about Tenet on this show when it came out during the pandemic. And talked all about how Nolan is just so inspired by the Bond universe. And when he made Tenet, he went out of his way not to watch any Bond movies because he didn't want to be directly influenced by Bond. He just wanted the feeling of Bond when he was making those. So, like, obviously, like, he's primed to make exactly a Bond movie. Yeah. And I would love for him to have creative control. But yeah, Bond is such an odd franchise at the moment, right?
It's in a weird place.
What do you do with it? Like, you can't necessarily go back in time to be kind of like a quirky. They almost seem goofy by this point in time, right? There's like wacky gadgets and
they've been parodied so much since then that they feel like going back. You're like, why are you doing this? Because this is the original form of it.
Like Odd Job throws a hat and cuts heads off, and it's just kind of like wacky cartoon stuff, and like they try to modernize it with Craig, and ups and downs for sure.
I think Craig is his stuff kind of revitalized it, right? It was kind of we had Goldeneye and it died off, and Goldeneye probably succeeded mostly because of that video game, really not because of the movies. And I think I watched him recently a couple years ago. And then the Craig ones, obviously I think he did 5 movies total, right? He only really wanted to do 3. So, like, I think there's an opportunity to do 2 with one actor before you, like, lose your by the time you get to a 3rd one or a 4th one, you've lost something, right? They're not as good anymore. And I think you do 2 really good ones and then pick another director and actor, right? That's the thing about Bond.
He's learned his lesson from the Dark Knight trilogy. He should have stopped after 2.
Rises isn't too bad. Just 1 and 2 are so different. Like the Begins and Dark Knight are like 2 entirely. Like one's like, hey, this one's Gotham. The other one's like, oh, now we're just in New York kind of thing, like deal. But I think the idea is like Bond he has no history, right? Like you don't care who the previous James Bond was. You set your own story and go tell it, and you don't have to really give a history or a beginning origin story for him every time. You just kind of go. So I think if you do 2 and then pick another one, and he wants to do 1 with a different actor, just do these serialized movies.
Yeah. Well, also we can't forget about the Amazon deal as well when it comes to the property. So, is any of the streaming stuff that's inevitable to come gonna ladder up to any Nolan Bond stuff? I guess.
I hope not. I really hope it's just solo. Like I think that's gonna be the best way to just like serialize it and don't try to build a Bond universe. Despite the fact that I think we both agree they could have done that with the last movie or franchise a little bit more, but that's fine. Little news on Rotten Tomatoes this week. I don't know if this ever crossed your path, Mike. But
a little bit.
Yeah, PR firm Bunker 15 has been found to be purchasing positive reviews for shows and movies, causing them to launch with high ratings, which gets people to buy opening weekend tickets. and then by the time the second week rolls around and like the actual reviews come out and level it out, movies drop off, but the damage has already been done from the opening movies, is what this report says.
Yeah, I mean, at first when I would hear this, I'd be like, well, that's got to be impossible to do, right? Like, I feel like so many reviews come in for a movie that like you'd like it would almost be basically like trying to like vote twice in an election, like. Yeah, even if like you got like a big grass movement like going, like the stakes are like so high, like you're just never gonna really change the outcome, right? But you make a good point. If it's the opening of it, like I literally just saw like a producer for, I don't know what it was, but they shared a screenshot of whatever they were working on. That's coming out soon, and it was the Rotten Tomatoes review, and I looked and it said it had 25 reviews. I was like, oh, just 25 gets you like an 89% on Rotten Tomato. Oh, it was that Haunting of Venice movie.
It's not even out yet, right? Like kind of thing. And that was a deal.
So it's just like, well, yeah, I guess like you only need to purchase 25 people, and you get to like basically write a news article. Like Variety gets to write an article like already like 90% on Rotten Tomato, and it's not even out yet. Like, yeah, I feel like that'd be worth it. It's very shady, but it'd be worth the money.
And they're not even paying like $50 to $200 per article, because the thing is they are focused on sites. This company, Bunker 15, is focused on sites that are obscure, often self-published critics who are nevertheless part of the pool tracked by Rotten Tomatoes. So if you have a blog, a couple things on there, and they're like, oh, you're actually a critic rating and not a reviewer or a viewer rating, you're going to fall under the critical rating, bumping that up even higher, right? Because you only see the critic ratings when you land there first, not the audience.
Listen, like I only took one statistics class in college, and I wasn't very good at it. It kind of flew over my head. But there's one thing that I learned that was very important when it comes to statistics, and that's the oh God, I can't even. I was just about
here
waxing
we
full. Like it's the what is it, like the threshold where you have statistical like relevance, like you need X number of actual pieces of data for it to be statistically like insightful in a way. God, I can't for the life of me. Everyone out there who is an accountant, like, it's like, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. But like, I feel like 25 reviews, like it almost feels like Rotten Tomatoes shouldn't be allowed to publish a review. Statistical significance. There you go. I think that's the word I was looking for. They should have to get to statistical significance before they release it, because like I've seen people who like share like little indie films. They're like, oh, we're 100% on Rotten Tomato, and it's like you have 5 reviews. Like that's not significant enough. Like in the pool of people that are going to see your movie.
Yeah, it is very much shows the flaw of Rotten Tomatoes, which we've always said is very, very much flawed. And how there is no safeguards for this kind of stuff, right? They just pull people in, and people can buy reviews for $50 and get you in opening weekend by fooling you, and then you're like, oh, that really wasn't as good as we thought. So second weekend's always a bigger drop. So I want to call this out and just make sure people who know, when you look up reviews, try to read the reviews. Don't just look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, because obviously that is a pay-to-play scenario that they are not. This may be fixed in a couple months. It may be fixed sooner than that. They may make a statement. I don't know, but like this is just one of those things that you got to pay attention to when you're out there. They're
gonna have to reckon with those headlines. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want you can pay for Rotten Tomatoes reviews, and that site's gonna just go right downhill. So we'll see how it goes. Roku. Remember when they bought all them Quibi things, Mike? Remember Quibi? Mm-hmm. This Quick Bites is what it stands for. They've removed almost all the Quibi shows they acquired, and Roku is now in a cutting content to save cost mode, just like everybody else is. It's
like so hilarious. Like Quibi, you were just not of your time. Yeah. Just too soon. I feel like they had a chance, but it never worked out.
It also came out in the time when everyone was home, not watching Quick Bites on their phones anymore, Mike. So it didn't stand a chance. I think Roku's an interesting business because they're technically a streaming stick provider. Like, right, they're selling hardware, and really you don't need to upgrade your streaming stick at all once you have one. So I was, what's the peak Roku kind of market cap on this kind of stuff? So I'd be interested to learn more about it, but I can't say I use it to watch any of their shows on Quibi or anything there. I just use it to access the apps I have to watch stuff.
I think when Roku first added the Quibi content to the Roku channel, since we have a Roku in our house, I like dipped in and like poked around for like a little bit, but I was just like, just almost felt weird, right? Mm-hmm. Like when some people were like making content for like a turnstile device, I almost felt like there were certain points where like I feel like I'm missing something. Like, why are the characters like being very, very, very focused on like a map or like a TV screen, and I can't see what the screen is because I'm supposed to be turning a cell phone and like seeing the second view. So I always felt like I was kind of missing something. Yeah.
I think the only thing that came out of Quibi that was great was the Reno 911 revival, and it's still going. They just had a movie come out, something about a Christmas saves Christmas or something like that. So there is some good stuff that came out of there, but like really, Quibi, we hardly knew ye at the end of the day. All right, so we're going to get into spoiler territory next year. We're going to start with I Am Groot. If you think there are spoilers in I Am Groot, boy, you are wrong. I Am Groot Season 2 dropped here a little over a year from the last ones, and they are 5 episodes, ranging from 3 to 5 minutes on Disney+. These are very much quick bites, if you will, of seeing Groot out in the wild. And they cover a plethora of episodes. One is Groot trying to find money on the ship to buy ice cream from the ice cream truck. He accidentally gets a nose, like how Guardians have like implants or whatever. He gets a nose implant on accident on his face and finds out how smelly he is. Another one is he builds a snowman, and the snowman gets some missiles and rockets because he put some technology in there to help build the snowman.
Of course. Yep,
very, very fun. Another one, the first one is he finds an egg that hatches, and like it's a little bird that imprints on him, and he shares candy with. By spitting the candy into the mouth of the bird, which was kind of gross but kind of funny at the same time. Watching baby Groot care for a baby bird. And then the last episode, Mike, and this is fun, is literally a Watcher narrated episode. So the Watcher is telling a story of like this seed, this magical, very important seed that has a prophecy attached to it, and the hero is going to come save it, and it's Groot, and he does nothing to save the seed at the end of the day. He gets very distracted, he takes a nap, and like the Watcher is like narrating all this, like he's like, what are you doing? Like you shouldn't be doing, he's not supposed to be doing this. Get back over here. So it's really, really fun to have Jeffrey Wright return as the Watcher and do a whole episode. That's the last episode. I think that's like the best one of the season to watch. But they all maintain that very realistic Groot look, right, that they got in Guardians 2. They're very funny. They're very quick. They just kind of sell the humor. How do you tell a story without having words, right, or dialogue, other than I Am Groot? And they just nail it every time. And I'd recommend if you got 15 minutes, you can crank all these out on Disney Plus, right? Just have a good time with them. Very family friendly, clean fun. There is like one line from Rocket at one of these, Mike, if you listen for him. So you can hear Bradley Cooper do his like 3 words as Rocket at the end of an episode. So any questions about these, Mike? I feel like it's just kind of, it is what it is, right? You know what you're getting into with these little shorts.
Yeah, I feel like I got all I needed from you on that.
Yeah, they are, I think they're just as... I don't remember the last ones very well, to be completely honest, other than the one where Groot breaks out of his pot after the end of the first Guardians. So you're not going to stick with you, but they are fun little clean shows to watch. So check those out on Disney Plus. And lastly, here we're going to jump into Ahsoka. Mike, we have not really talked about Ahsoka a lot, to be completely honest.
Not really at all.
Off the air or even on the show. So all 4 episodes have landed, and you caught up to 4. We talked a little bit last week. Me and Jim did. Obviously, you probably haven't listened to that either, so that's good. But if we're in Ahsoka spoiler territory. If you've not seen the first 4 episodes, don't listen. Come back and listen if you want to. But we are halfway through this series on Disney Plus, and we're gonna talk about it. So I feel after watching episode 4 this week, Mike, and you tell me what you think. It feels like this is what Filoni did with the Clone Wars, where every 2 episodes is a story. It feels better watching 1 and 2 and then 2 and 3 because they feel like a complete piece, whereas like half of an episode or like episode 3, but when you put it with 4, I'm like, oh, this clicks into place. This feels like a good start and stop point for the characters. How do you feel like he's doing that?
I mean, I feel like I'm trying to remember exactly how some of the episodes ended, but I do kind of feel like after the end of episode 1 and the end of episode 3, the episodes just kind of ended. It wasn't really like a cliffhanger. It was just like the end of a scene. Mm-hmm. So I think you're right. I think this would be a little bit more binge-worthy.
And they're only like half an hour. Like, this is like, we just watched One Piece. One Piece are hour-long episodes, right? Like, yeah, do 4 episodes at an hour each, and we would get the whole story. Like, I feel like we're only getting like part 1 and half of part 2 in the first half, and then like it makes the even number episodes feel that much better because you're like, oh man, this is paying off finally. But like, you have to wait a whole week in between them to get there.
Yeah, and like, so if we're operating on that cycle, means we'll probably be let down a little bit by the ending of the next episode, but hopefully the episode after that. So yeah, we're halfway through it. I mean, my thoughts on Ahsoka in general are a little mixed because I love seeing like Filoni's take on Star Wars because he just gets it. He's like a nerd, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm loving the Star Wars battle. So if we're talking about spoilers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I loved just before that big old ring takes off into hyperspace, we're like on the bridge, and like the production design of all these like coils and science fiction-y technology objects are like glowing up. I was like, this is cool. And I just keep thinking, oh, what's it going to look like when it takes off? And like it has this like electrical disturbance. So it's just like there's lots of really fun, interesting, clever things happening here for sure. The biggest problem I have with this show, which has been really hard for me to get over, is everyone in this show is so dour. It's like everyone is Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan, right? Everyone's so stoic, everyone's so poised, even like the bad guys. Like I finally got a little bit of range from Rosario Dawson in episode 4 when she was legitimately worried if Sabine had died or not. And then, you know, I'm sure we'll talk about the whole Anakin end. But yeah, I finally got a little bit of emotion out of these characters, and it's like, I get it, like, right? Like, it's like this galaxy isn't the best place to live, right? But I don't know exactly how Ahsoka acted in Rebels, but like I know her almost entirely from the Clone Wars, and obviously she was younger, right? But like, where is all of her energy? Where is the zest for life? Where is just any sort of like character definition? Like even like Sabine is like flat. All the villains are flat. The girl with the green tentacles, played by
it's Hera. It's Hera. It's
Hera. Even like that is like everyone's just so like, I feel like I'm watching the prequels. Like what is happening here? Like I just need somebody like, so whenever the robot companion like does something sassy or like tells anybody basically like lighten up, I'm just like, fucking finally. And it's just so weird because like I'm loving like the story. It's kind of, I sent you the meme of how it feels a lot like Treasure Planet. So I love how like at least the MacGuffin is kind of like doing something cool. Like, oh, it's like a map, and they're trying to shoot off into another galaxy, which is like that's a whole thing we should talk about because I'm sure you know a lot more about it than I do. But I like just like little decisions that Filoni makes, like they want to destroy the map in episode 4, right after they get the coordinates. And like there's like 1,000 ways a lightsaber could destroy something, right? But like
he didn't cut it in half. He literally
he turns it on upside down, and it takes a minute, right? Like it's not like something that just obliterates like an instantly, and I was like, this is cool, just like watching a dude with an upside down lightsaber just melt something.
The way he holds his lightsaber too is close to the hilt as possible. Like I mean, again, Ray Stevenson, God bless him, like we're gonna miss him, but like he feels like a force with like not a force, but like a bad guy, like who's to be reckoned with, because he's like, I know what I'm doing, I'm confident in my abilities here. I love the bad guy duo. They have like very distinct like bad guy energy, right? He is the elder with that kick-ass white beard. He looks so cool when he holds a lightsaber. And then we got like the scrappy like white-haired like I guess Padawan, but I don't really know what you would call it on Sith. I forgot. Like, well, it's not a Sith.
Rule of two, so what do they call them?
They're not a Sith. They're not Sith. They're just not Jedi, if you will.
But they do call him Darth. So I guess Darth is not like
He's
necessarily.
They didn't call him Darth. No.
I thought, what's his name? Like Darth something?
No, his name's Balin. His name's just Balin.
I thought they said Darth Balin in the 4th episode.
No,
maybe I heard it wrong. Yeah, I think a droid was saying it, so maybe I misheard his robotic voice.
Yeah, Balin, Skull, and Shin Hati. Skull and Hati are the Norse wolves that chase each other night and day cycles, actually, which is a really fun reference to possibly how they're going to be too. So anyway, sorry. Yeah.
So like I love their dynamic. They're very imposing, very creepy. I love how Filoni's bringing in his witchy stuff. Like,
the Night Sisters are so cool.
Like, he basically, like, for all intents and purposes, he like invented like this side of magic. Like, I'm sure there's like a book somewhere, right, where it exists or whatever. But he kind of brought it in. So I wasn't expecting when the masked character got chopped up that like green witch magic would come out of him. I was like, that was cool. So I like that.
That's a great payoff. Did you watch Tales of the Jedi? Yeah.
No,
the Ahsoka Tales of the Jedi, she fights somebody just like this, if you will, which is great. There's only 3 I think Tales of the Jedi are very, like, again, those are Filoni animated stuff. You should watch them. They would pay off in that moment even more for you. But I think that's important to know. Like, this has Filoni's lore. Like, there's no accidents in here, if that makes sense, right? Like, there's nothing. Everything is what he has been working on since 2005, whenever he took over and started working with George Lucas. And I think that you feel it. Like, you feel like this is intentional. This is purposeful. I don't think there are any wasted moments in here, right? Like, a lot of people are like, oh, Mandalorian season 3, there's a planet with, Jack Black and Lizzo. I'm like, well, wasted moment. Totally agree. It's a different side story. Didn't really move the main plot forward at all. But like, they're not wasting any time here, and I feel really good about that. Through this, and back to Ahsoka is more adult. She's more very reserved. We don't know what really happened, where she was in between Rebels and this moment, or I guess in Mandalorian. That's about 9-year past. But I will say, when you mentioned her being happy and younger, it was, you see her smile for the first time in the show when Anakin calls her Snips there in the place between all worlds, right?
Is that the because I only caught that, I think, when I was watching Rebels recap.
Yes,
that's kind of like the time travel-y dimension, right? That Ezra sneaks into and saves Ahsoka,
and then puts her back into time. Yeah, so it's I think it's the realm between realms. Is what it's called.
I'm just gonna call it the Speed Force.
It is the last 4 episodes of Rebels. A lot of this comes from, like, that whole thing comes from. So, we get to see that, and then you mentioned the ending, which was, I honestly, I did not expect to see Anakin Skywalker in the end of episode 4. I thought it was gonna be much later in the show.
Unfortunately, it got spoiled for me a little bit because I waited too long to watch this week's episode. But I thought he was going to be in it like more.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't know it was going to be happening in like a realm between. So that was kind of a fun surprise. And it lasted for like 2 seconds. So like we're going to be getting a lot more of it next week, I hope. But I mean, that's cool. Like what's happening in there? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, is he going to tell like Ahsoka, like, I don't stop being such a Debbie Downer or something? Like,
well, I would say, obviously did she die? Did she die? Did she get pulled into there? What happened to her off the cliff? Right. Like, that's my question. So is it, is she going to, come back and, be the old Ahsoka that we know? Right. Because technically everyone calls her, she's not a Jedi. She left the Jedi Order. She's just trained in the Jedi ways. Right. At the end of the day. We got to see that, the ship jumped. Are we going to go see this other universe, Mike, or are we not going to see the other universe? I want to see it.
Chris. It's a galaxy, not a universe.
Well,
we got to be careful.
Yeah.
We talk about multiverses every week.
That's true.
So we have to be very specific. But no, I'm very looking forward to talking about this aspect of the show because what everybody knows about Star Wars, even if you've only seen the very first movie, the very first words you ever read, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, specifically stating all of these adventures happen in one singular galaxy, which is a lot of fucking room, right? I mean, a galaxy is like huge, like. Humanity's probably never going to leave our galaxy, and the sun might fry our entire planet before we even get a chance to see like a tenth of it, right?
We also see all the different planets and things in the galaxy represented at the episodes 1 through 3, right? When they're doing all the galaxy, I guess,
Yeah.
things.
Exactly.
So, and that's only the ones represent. They're the ones who are also the not rebel galaxies. What do they call them when they're not part of the,
Yeah, they're like independent worlds.
ones. Yeah. So there's even more. So like, yeah, we see a lot there, and like we're going to a place we've never heard of before.
Yeah, and we know that there's kind of parts of like even that galaxy that are, like you said, mysterious. Like I remember
The Outer
shots
Rim.
from the Clone Wars, right, where like kind of, I think it's like Obi-Wan like goes to the Jedi Council. He's like pulling maps, trying to figure out where these clones are being made or whatever. And we kind of do get to kind of see him virtually kind of walk through the galaxy, which I always thought was cool and really important. I think we do kind of need to be anchored in a location for storytelling. But now the fact that we're going totally uncharted territories. I mean, like, how many movies are happening in this other galaxy, right? Like, what has already transpired? That's like they have their own whole like culture and
does the
everything going
Force
on over
exist
there.
in this other galaxy? Like, you're right.
Yeah.
Like, is it something that we don't know if it's isolated to our this galaxy or not? So it may be there's again, we've talked about the Yuzan Vong, right? The enemies from the expanded universe who are immune to the Force and they don't, they have no power. Are they going to be part of this? What are we getting out of this? What is he bringing back that we can pull into this next movie?
Yeah, it is kind of wild because that opening crawl of Star Wars has kind of always postulated like that there is a theoretical chance at any given moment like a Jedi could show up on our planet, right? Because like technically they are in canon supposed to exist with planet Earth in some way. I know it's silly to think about it that way, but it is just kind of crazy to think that like, oh yeah, like a Jedi could just pop on over to the next galaxy and they'll be like, what are you doing? Like we don't have magic with a lightsaber. Like, how does that light not just keep going forever? Because that's how light operates, right? There's just so many things that they could do in a different galaxy. It's just like so much untouched territory. It's like, how often can you ever be like, not guess what's going to happen in Star Wars, right? There's always some nerd out there that knows more than you knows exactly what's going to happen.
I just want to know if we're going to see it or if they're just going to pop back into our universe with everybody.
No, they got to show it. I mean, I don't think so. If we want to go into like predictions for kind of like the back half of the season, like I feel like I want to see this other galaxy, right? You know, I don't know if we're just going to see like one planet on the edge of the galaxy, right? And Thrawn's been hanging out there. I don't know how he's still alive. Maybe he's conquered his own little planet in the galaxy because he's like such a masterful ruler, and maybe they have to convince him to leave. Like he's like, hey, I got a good thing going. It's like, no, come back to us. You can have a whole galaxy. Why have like one planet? Right. And then I'd love to see at least some like seeds, some little hints of tips maybe on this like one little planet, or maybe he's stuck on a moon or something of some life form that lives there that's just like, what is this place that you're coming from? Right. This is where we live. There's so much opportunity.
It's got to be different. If it looks too similar, I feel it's wasted, right? Like if you're going somewhere new and uncharted and you're like, yeah, we're going to go this, it can't just be more people standing around. Like, yeah, we found more people over here. Then like, why haven't we, then we can bring them back, I guess, or we have now a way to get to them going forward. Like, what do we do with this?
And like, if we can trust anyone with creating brand new things in the Star Wars universe, it's Filoni, because he did it in the Clone Wars all the time under like very harsh restrictions of like, hey, this has to still be canon,
right? And
he did it. And I do really like how like everything is taken very seriously. Like if you want to skip, like light skip jump to another galaxy. First of all, you got to steal a bunch of hyperdrives, right? That's going to be hard enough as it is, as the Empire has fallen, right? You got to have a motivated reason to do it. You got to build a really interesting looking contraption, which the audience wants to look at, which is great. And then also there's got to be stakes of like, if we don't get the exact coordinates, you're going to end up in this blank void between galaxies, having no idea where to go, no preconceived notions of, I'm guessing whatever galactic GPS they have does not work anywhere else.
It's
right.
It's well, the way they say they used to map star or like light speed lanes by following the whales, the Purrgil that we saw in this. And if you read the High Republic, you don't have to. The way they've been sent, there's like company that has been pre-mapping all these destinations for people due to. I think they like one of the family members is force sensitive or something, or has like an ability that nobody else. They keep her under lock and key. So they were selling these coordinates to people making the light speed drives, and that's how they kind of kept the highways safe, if you will, right? Like, so you don't run into a planet. But like, you're right. Like, they're gonna get there. They gotta figure out how to get back as well. Hopefully, they have the same path backwards, and so maybe they'll end up on that planet on the way back the other way.
Yeah, I just think like this is, and since we kind of already know kind of where the big war and struggle in the galaxy ends up, right? You know, eventually Rey comes along, the Emperor comes back seemingly out of nowhere. This will be tied off nice and neatly in a Filoni feature film, which will be fun and exciting, right? But I would love for a seed to be planted to be picked up like later on in the timeline, right? Like maybe what were those bad guys? What'd you call them?
Yuuzhan Vaughn. The Yuuzhan Vaughn.
Yeah, maybe we tease the Yuuzhan Vaughn, and then
they come back to they find a way here. They follow.
Yeah, and that is maybe where we are currently in the most modern version of the timeline. So it's like, hey, they're teased here. Now Rey has to go fight them. And then
Dave gets to chart the fucking path forward because no one else can be trusted to write 3 movies that make sense together.
That'd be great. But at the same time, maybe hire a couple writers that can write some characters with a little bit more range and depth.
I think, and they may not need the range. I think there's no history. We don't know what happened in the past 10 years, and they didn't really set up that. They just jumped in like, okay, you're all the journey's starting here. I would like to know what happened in those 10 years in between.
Where's that big blue alien dude that they teased in one of the Mando episodes that was supposed to be in their crew?
He's just a gun for hire in the thing.
Well, he's interesting. He looks fun. Throw the big blue.
No,
guy
they
in
have
there.
to use the same 3 pilots. The guy from Kim's Convenience, and he's the only one who's going to go. He's a ride or die for everyone who doesn't want to follow the rules in this. in this universe.
Guess.
But I'm having a good time. I'm excited for the second 4. It's great to see again. You know, it feels like the first season of The Mandalorian, right? Like we're building towards something. I do think the back half would be a great opportunity to kick off the Skeleton Crew show, because they get lost. The premise is they get lost in a different galaxy or part of the galaxy, and this could be an opportunity to kick that off in the back half of the show, because we're gonna that's gonna have to tie into somehow.
Is that canonically the same time?
Yes, it is. Yeah, all the Disney Plus shows are in the same, except for Kenobi, and those 2 were together, but these are all together. There's only 2 timelines right now. Right now until that. They kind of say these things before the show starts.
What's that High Republic show that's supposed to be coming out?
The Acolyte.
Yeah.
But Mike, are you getting the lightsabers you need in this show? Because I know you love lightsabers, and they not shied away from any lightsaber usage.
I'm getting plenty of lightsabers. Whenever but I always want to see now like a lightsaber do something like new and unique. Right. Yeah. So when it just like destroyed that little orb, I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Right. Yeah. I think he was cool. I like
and very cartoony Clone Wars like Cartoon Network inspired moment, but like when Ahsoka like put on her like spaceship suit, and like went on top of the ship, and like we don't need guns, I got lightsabers.
Right.
I can chop these things out of the sky.
Exactly, and that's very much taken from the show when they've worn the spacesuits in the Clone Wars stuff before. So that was fun. Her battle with Balin was really good. I think having 2 very, I wouldn't say seasoned, but master Force users do the lightsabers.
I mean, right now, we historically on this show really never officially kind of like rate anything, right? We don't give it scores or stars or grades or anything like that, but sometimes it's helpful maybe to throw some of those out just to get it like a feeling. I would say like right now, Ahsoka for me is kind of like sitting at like a solid B, right? Definitely room for improvement, room to go down too as well. We'll see how it goes, but I would say a B is good, because Mandalorian season 3, the last kind of Star Wars thing I watched, that was in the C- range for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you should go a little higher. I think you gave The Flash a C+. I think you can go a little farther from The Flash, Mike. But
this is why we don't do this.
Yeah, right. This it's a very subjective scale. I think if you like Star Wars, I recommend it. I think that's where I'm going to sit with it. Right. If you enjoy Star Wars, you recommend. If you're not in Star Wars, there's no way you're going to get into this.
We sat down and watched the first episode. We had a friend over who, very familiar with Star Wars, and then my wife was on the couch as well, who she'll go see Star Wars stuff with me, right? Yeah. She's watched The Mandalorian, and then I put this on, and she's like, who are all of these people? And I'm just like, I get it. It's fine. You don't have to watch this. It's a bit much of an ask.
Yeah, it's if you've watched all the Clone Wars and Rebels, boy, this is paying off in dividends for you, for those people. I do hope, again, I mentioned, I think last week with Jim, it's like, I don't want the end scene to be, what's his name? The general Thrawn walking off the ship. He's like, I'm back. I'm like, he's got to do something. I don't want to wait for a goddamn movie to see what he does, right? Like, he needs to already be doing something in our universe by the end of the show. Rather just showing up at the end is going to be very, very wasteful of that. So
I agree.
So hopefully they can set that forward. Seeing some momentum, but yeah, that's it. Well, we'll probably come back to this when the show's over. We don't have to do it weekly. Just come back when the season's done and talk about it.
Unless something monumental happens next week, we'll wrap it up.
Next week's going to be a big asterisk with Hayden Christensen returning, right? So we'll put that there. But Mike, thanks for coming back again. We're back on a regular schedule of episodes. But if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, especially when you're gone for a long period of time, where they can find you at, man?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, TikTok. I'm always going to call it Twitter because I hate Elon Musk. You can read my webcomic at liferewardsrisk.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, or video game systems of the same name, Valdan, Valdan. If people know more about the show, what we're doing, we have any reviews coming up? Is it like the Marvels, maybe, I think is our next?
I think we need to be reviewing My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to get you to go see that.
I don't think you're going to be able to get me to go see that. But we will be back to some more. Maybe a special One Piece review episode if we get to it.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But we're going to be doing more reviews as content picks back up. But if people know about the show, where can they listen at?
Yeah, they can head on over to superheroslate.com. That is the headquarters. That is the hyperspace lane if you want to find all the things that we do here at Superhero Slate. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever else you love to listen to find podcasts like our own. We got merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Let us know what you thought of Ahsoka. Are you excited for this new Godzilla King Kong TV show? Do you think it also looks expensive like I do? Let us know. We love hearing from you. And we love our super fans. Thanks to Jim for filling in for me last week. Really appreciate that. But if you want to be a super fan like Jim, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we'll be here every week.
That's right. We'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.